Hello and welcome. Today, we're going to dive into a framework that's thousands of years old but feels more relevant than ever. It's called the Four Noble Truths. And really, it's a practical four-step guide for understanding your life and maybe even unburdening it a little. The best part? It's not about rigid rules, but about a clear, logical tool you can start using right away.
I mean, we've all been there, right? That feeling that something's not quite right. It could be a constant pressure, or just this subtle friction in your day-to-day life. Maybe it's a quiet anxiety, a sense of being stuck, or just a feeling that something's missing, even when things on the surface seem okay.
Well, this feeling, this kind of deep-seated unsatisfactoriness, is exactly what we're talking about today. And this framework doesn't just tell you to ignore it or to, just be positive. No. Instead, it gives you a systematic, almost scientific way to look at it, to figure out where it comes from, and ultimately, to find a path to real, lasting relief.
So here's our game plan. We're going to walk through this just like a doctor's visit. First, we'll look at the diagnosis of dissatisfaction. Then we'll move on to uncovering the root cause. After that, we'll see the promise of a cure. And finally, we'll get the prescription for peace. And to wrap it all up, we'll talk about why this is a path of powerful realism and not pessimism at all. You see, what's so brilliant about the Four Noble Truths is their structure. It's like a compassionate but really clear-eyed medical consultation for the human condition. It asks four simple questions. What's the symptom? What's causing it? Is there a cure? And if there is, what's the treatment? It's an incredibly logical way to approach our inner world.
All right, first up, the diagnosis. What is the fundamental problem, the basic symptom that this whole framework is trying to solve? It's a universal feeling of dissatisfaction that the Buddha saw as the essential starting point.
The first noble truth introduces this key idea of dukkha. Now, you'll often hear this translated as suffering, but honestly, that word is a bit too small. Dukkha is much more subtle. It points to a fundamental stress, an imperfection, a kind of unsatisfactoriness that's woven into the very fabric of life. A good way to think about it is like a wheel on a cart that's just slightly off-center. Even when it's rolling, there's always that little wobble, that underlying friction. That's dukkha.
And this feeling, this dukkha, it covers so much. It includes the big, obvious pains, like getting sick or losing someone. But it also includes the quiet ache of, say, not getting a job you really wanted. It's that feeling of being separated from people or things that we love. But here's the deepest part. The teaching says that our very sense of self, what the texts call the five aggregates of attachment, is also a source of this unease. That's our body, feelings, perceptions, mental habits, and consciousness. Just the act of clinging to all these changing things, as if they are a permanent me, creates that friction.
Now the goal here isn't to get down or dwell on the negative. The job that comes with this first truth is simply to understand, to see this fundamental unsatisfactoriness for exactly what it is, a basic condition of life, without judging it or running away from it. It's a call for simple, clear-eyed observation. Okay, so that naturally leads us to part 2, uncovering the root cause. If that feeling of dissatisfaction is the symptom, then what's the actual illness? What's the source? The second noble truth is called Samudaya, which basically means the origin or the arising of dukkha. A good doctor doesn't just treat your symptoms, right? They find the cause. And that's what's happening here. The Buddha wasn't just pointing out the problem. He was determined to pinpoint its exact cause. And the core of this diagnosis is this. The source of our dissatisfaction is a deep thirst or craving, known in the original language as Tana. It's this relentless wanting more pleasure, wanting to get away from pain, wanting to hold on to things. It's that constant background noise in our heads of, I want this, I need that, I don't want this. That's what fuels the whole cycle. And this craving isn't just one thing. There's the obvious thirst for sensual pleasures, good food, entertainment, all that stuff. Then there's a deeper craving for becoming, the drive to be someone, to have an identity, to continue on. And believe it or not, there's even a craving for non-becoming, the desire to just check out, to escape, to disappear when things get too painful. But even deeper than all of that craving is simple ignorance, not knowing or understanding these Four Noble Truths in the first place. So, if the first task was to understand,
The task for this second truth is to abandon. This is where we get active. The path asks us to actively work on letting go of this reactive thirst, to gently loosen its grip on our mind, and to get right to the very root of our dissatisfaction. And this leads us, logically, to part 3, the promise of a cure. We've got the diagnosis, we've found the cause, and now comes the most important question. Is there a way out? And the answer is a clear, definitive yes. The third noble truth, Nirodha, is the good news. It says that there is a complete end to dukkha, a total stopping of the thirst that causes it. This ultimate freedom, this profound peace, is called Nibbana, or as many of us know it, nirvana. And it's so important to get this right. Nibbana isn't just nothingness. It's not a void. It's actually described in really positive ways, as the ultimate reality, as a supreme and unshakable peace that doesn't depend on what's happening around you. It's the mind being completely freed from the grip of craving and aversion. It's the perfection of purity and freedom. And the purpose of this third truth isn't just to believe it blindly. The task here is realization. It points to an experience you have to discover for yourself, directly. It's the personal discovery that this freedom isn't just some nice idea, but a real, tangible possibility for any of us. Which brings us to our final step, part 4, the prescription for peace. So we have the diagnosis, we know the cause, and we've been promised a cure. Now, how do we actually do it? What's the treatment plan? The fourth noble truth lays out the practical step-by-step treatment. It's called the Noble Eightfold Path, and it's often called the middle path because it finds a balance. It avoids the extreme of just chasing pleasure all the time, and it also avoids the other extreme of punishing yourself with harsh self-denial. It's this skillful, balanced path that leads to calm, insight, and eventually to Nibbana. Think of this path as a complete training program for your mind, broken down into 3 main parts that all work together. It starts with ethical conduct, or sila. This is about how you live your life, basing it on truthful and kind speech, helpful actions, and earning a living in a way that doesn't cause harm. This creates a stable, solid foundation. Then, building on that foundation, you have mental discipline, or samadhi. This is where you actively train your mind to be steady and focused through things like right effort, mindfulness, and concentration. It's like gathering all the scattered energy of your mind into one calm, powerful place. And finally, both of those support the growth of wisdom, or panya. This is the clear seeing that grows out of a calm and ethical mind, the wisdom that lets you see reality as it is and truly understand these 4 noble truths for yourself. So, your final task is simply to walk this path. It's not about becoming perfect in all 8 areas overnight. It's a gradual process. It's a journey of cultivating these qualities moment by moment, day by day, with each step making the next one a little easier. Okay, before we wrap up, it's really important we clear something up. When people first hear the phrase, life is suffering, it's easy to think that this whole philosophy is super pessimistic or negative, but that's missing the point entirely. And here's the key difference. Pessimism is when you identify a problem and you just stop there, which only leads to feeling hopeless. This framework, on the other hand, is about courageous realism. It's about being brave enough to look a problem right in the eye so that you can apply a tangible, hopeful, and step-by-step solution. In that sense, it's actually the ultimate form of optimism, because it says a cure is possible and then hands you the map to get there. At the end of the day, this isn't just some old philosophy. It's a timeless, practical guide for self-discovery. It gives us a diagnosis for our unease, it points to the cause, it promises a cure, and it provides a clear prescription. So that leaves us with a final question to reflect on. How might using this clear-eyed, 4-step approach, seeing a problem, finding its cause, knowing a solution exists, and following the path, how might that transform the way you navigate your own daily challenges? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this explainer helpful, please give it a like and subscribe for more content that makes big ideas clear and simple. Thank you so much for watching.